Welcome to Horror Delights. Welcome to Horror Delights. I'm here with my friend John Stuart, who is an FX artist, composer, prop maker, teacher. So, John, tell me what made you love horror?
Well, I think it started from my childhood. My mother used to love to watch horror movies, and she'd stay up late at night, a lot of evenings, especially on the weekend. Double Creature Doll feature and Dr. Shock and all these horror show programs. There was a guy called Dr. Shock. He would run old films, and I would stay with my mom and watch them. I never was scared as a child. Actually, I loved them, and I fell in love with monsters. And what really got me in the movie of special effects, which I'd done for a long time, was Planet of the Apes, and that makeups for that movie, and then I had a TV series, really influenced me a lot. And that's what, and I even made my own gorilla ape costume for Halloween back when I think I was like 12 or 13 years old.
I'll have to try and see if I can include some pics. Planet of the Apes is definitely an epic film from the past, for sure. So what's your favorite project working on?
Well, I haven't done as much effects makeup now. I kind of like I got into teaching. Before I got into teaching, though, I did a lot of freelance, and this one company called Acme Advertisement, they knew of me. They used me a lot for TV commercial I did for McDonald's. I'll go over that. McDonald's, was funny. I had to do a platform with a couple of guys. We built this platform, and they were selling these little toys, the Happy Meals, and I had to make a little graveyard scene, and they filmed that, and that was fun. There was a funny joke on that. Awesome. This is a true story. The little Frankenstein toy, we had to break it open and fix it because we had them moving without touching them. We used magnets and stuff. But the Frankenstein, they weren't going to remanufacture it. The Frankenstein on camera, the cameraman was worried. The Frankenstein, when his hands went down like this, his tongue went out of his mouth, but it looked like his tongue was going down to his, and they didn't think that was professional. So I had to break it open, cut it with a Dremel, put it back together, so that would not come off on camera looking like weird. So that was the funny thing, that I always remember that situation with that. And I've done things for Franklin Institute. It had a commercial. I did these giant foam rubber potatoes. If you remember the toy Mr. Potato Head,
I do.
I had to make these giant, 3 of these potato heads. These kids had to wear them, and I had those make them look like plastic, like eyes and lips and stuff, like the potato head toy. And they morphed in these potato head characters for the commercial.
Sounds like most of the people on Instagram these days.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, it's funny because the director loved them so much, he wanted to keep those rubber potatoes because they look like real potatoes, but gigantic. And I said, yeah, keep them. So that was fun. And then I did a commercial for Bain de Soleil for the Central Bay Tan. And I had to do a body cast of her from the waist down, nude. Cut it, shave a little, make sure none of the alginate would stick too much. And once I had a plaster cast, I had to design a mermaid tail that fit her so perfectly where you couldn't see the seams. And they filmed it in the Virgin Islands on rocks in the ocean for the Central Bay Tan. And I had it, they wanted to know how can they put the glue on, what takes the glue off. And I told them, well, if I didn't tell them, and if I said it was a trade secret, they would have had to fly me out there to the Bahamas. But I gave all my secrets away, and I didn't get to go. But I did get to work with a beautiful model, and she was real good about it because I put her through hell making that body cast in a way. But I made this mermaid tail, and that was a lot of fun. It went to print ad and it went to commercial. I have reels somewhere of those commercials. And I'm trying to think, what else did I do? I did a lot of different stuff. Pennsylvania Lottery. I used to get a lot of those commercials. And, well, what beat me out for doing those commercials in the futures, they went to digital with the little, rodent, digital rodent. But at one time, I remember Cash 5. It was hilarious. I did this puppet. I only had 24 hours to get this puppet done, by the way, in latex. His eyes had to roll. He had to cough out smoke and catch on fire. because it said all the cash at once would be great, but all this, you know, he opened up the windshield, the window, and all the sun came in, too much sun, and he caught on fire. And we had, this is a true story, he had guys puffing on like lots of cigarettes and trying to blow it through a tube so he would cough out smoke out of the puppet through
awesome.
tubes. And they're like, and we're trying to get that on fire, and I'm trying to roll the eyes at the same. It was just hilarious. But I did like crazy stuff like that. It was interesting.
So, John, tell me, what's your favorite horror theme song?
Favorite horror theme song? Well, actually, I don't know if it's a movie more or less as a TV show. And I got to say the MUNSTERS themes, because I just fell in love with that music. That TV show with all the art, the cast, the makeup, the sets, the cars. But that music done by Jack Marshall, he was a guitarist.
Oh, it's so iconic. Like, you can't not hear it and not know what it is instantly. Like,
What's that?
I said you can't not hear it and not know what it is. It's so iconic.
Right. It's very iconic, that theme. And it's, you know, everybody likes it. It brings back, you know, their childhood memory. But that music, to me, all the instruments, and back in those days, they didn't really use keyboards so much, or electronic, digital. Everything was real instruments. They had to have an orchestra. So back in the 60s, that was expensive today for them to do that today. But it was done so well and so interesting. It just had a sound, that piano or that boom sound, the bass and the twang of the guitar. It was just so cool. And I think it got, Jack Marshall got Academy Award for those MUNSTERS themes, if I can remember.
It's well deserved.
Yeah, it was well deserved. I think they're great, and I still love them today.
You're quite the composer yourself. I'm gonna have to include your version in the links, because the version you made is, I love it. Like,
I loved all that bumper background music, and I actually was putting together, I never finished it, but I'm putting together a CD, because I have some friends that are fans, and they like my music better than any of the records that are out there of that show or theme. And I did all the bumper background music. I did all the themes, including the movie score version, Munster Go Home. And I did all the instruments. Some of them were like 70, 80,
that's amazing.
90 tracks, and I was like 30 instruments, and put it all together by ear. I don't read a lick of music. I never learned how to read it. I could just do it by ear. And I think that gives me more freedom. I'm not constrained. And I go through all my instruments. I have like 36 terabytes of instruments. I have to go through them on my solid state drives. I go through them and find the right perfect sound for the bass or the guitar, and try to match the instruments as close as I can and make them sound like a full orchestra. And they're fun. It's a lot of fun. I love doing the orchestrated stuff. That's how I got into it. But as later on, I was at the Art Institute teaching there for 22 years. I taught movie effects, makeup, wood shop, Photoshop, wood design. And I had a sabbatical. Sabbatical means, you know, you have some time off and you get paid, but you had to do something. And I applied for a sabbatical. And, you know, you can't just take off and party. You had to do something artistic. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do a satire on the MUNSTERS TV show myself. I made a 26-minute episode, and I put some of the clips on YouTube. I never put the whole film on there. And I'm going to have to,
not to cut you off, I'm going to have to show it in the links, because I think people will love it. It pretty much mirrors the show, but in color, which is amazing. Yeah. Like, you can't even tell the difference, and you play almost all the characters in it except for the
female role. I did play Marilyn or Eddie. I actually got Butch Patrick, the real Eddie Munster, to make an appearance in my film, and that was tough to do, but I got him, and he was nice enough to do it. And so I did this film, and I had to teach myself video editing, how to do digital video effects. I did the makeup. I had help for the costumes, because I cannot sew. They did a great job of the costumes. They're very accurate. I did all my own makeup, all my other characters, and myself. And Sue Tangrady, she played Marilyn, and my friend Vince Russo, his sister, she played the Lily. And, you know, we had the characters, and I literally filmed most of it on site at Rittenhouse Square on the street, where I pulled a manhole cover. I made a realistic looking manhole cover, which I probably could find and show you that. And I removed the real one, which I didn't know was illegal, by the way, and I put the fake
Things
one
are quite
in.
heavy.
Yeah, they were like 300 pounds. So Herman picks up the manhole cover with one hand, which would be impossible in real life. And I had digital fire coming out. I was going to have real fire, but I heard there's gases down there. You don't want to do that.
So I had Broad Street blowing up.
Yeah, Broad Street blowing up just for my effect. But I had digital fire, which was safer, and I blocked the whole street. I didn't care. I had no license. I didn't ask the city. I just filmed on location wherever. Then I pulled a traffic sign out of the ground because Herman's car got a parking ticket. And you'll see, if you see some of the clips, I still have those clips. But that was a lot of fun.
I'll be sure to share them on the video itself.
Yeah, you'll share them on the links to the video. But it's funny because a lot of the stuff I filmed, because I could not afford to build all the sets.
Well, that face cast of Fred Quinn is amazing.
Yeah, I got to send you a picture. That was actually, I got that from the, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, but Dick Smith, who worked on the original makeups for The Exorcist. He lived in Connecticut, and once I got that live cast, I repurposed it, made a copy of the head, and redid the Herman Munster. I had a life-size Herman Munster, if you remember, I had standing in my old loft,
Indeed.
which is all in parts. It's a mannequin. It's all.
There was so much in that place. Giant T-Rex head from Jurassic Park, a Velociraptor, you name it.
Yeah, I had that giant 6-foot head of T-Rex and pink foam. I never finished it. It's in my brother's storage, and unfortunately, he's going to say, "Look, you got to get rid of it." I had to throw it out because I had no room for it here. But yeah, so I did most of my scenes on blue screen. I put a blue tarp in a parking lot and did all the acting, and I did the Herman spots, and then I act like I was talking to Grandpa, but nobody was there because I did split screen. Then the next day I filmed Grandpa talking to Herman, split the screen, put it together, and it looked like two people.
That's amazing.
Conversing, and they're all me.
It looks so, and the video is so smooth. I can't wait to show it to people.
Because I still spent $10,000 to do a 26-minute episode. But it's $10,000 what I spent for the costume, the acting, the video, the editing.
And this is for any of these FX supplies are readily available, and you had to do everything by hand. It's
not
as convenient as nowadays.
Yeah, I did all of it by hand, but it was a big learning experience. I spent a lot of hours and realized I shouldn't have done it all by myself. If I had, hired some good help, I probably would have polished it even better. But for a one-man show, I think I did quite a project on my own. And it was a dream come true, because the Wayans brothers, this is true. When I did that film, and I had photos of my makeups, my friend had a connection in California. This is a true story. And he sent black and white photos of me as Herman and Grandpa to the Wayans brothers. The Wayans brothers were going to make a film satire of the Munsters for the big screen. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited. So he got those pictures out. I got a letter back. Well, my friend Vince, he was acting like my agent, but he was actually a waiter at the Four Seasons. But they didn't know. So I said, okay, we pulled a fast one. He got a letter back. He gave it to me. The letter said from Universal Studios, you're way ahead of the game. It's on the script. And you mean to tell me this is your client? This isn't Fred Gwynn? And they go, no, this is my client. This is not Fred Gwynn. He goes, man, he's knocked that character.
I mean, it's uncanny. It was like cosplay before cosplay. It's literally, like, I still have very vivid memories of it as a child.
So I had like these Hollywood dreams, like, oh my God, could I actually be part of the Munsters, even if I did the makeup for the Wayans brothers? But what happened, something didn't jive with Universal, with the Wayans brothers script, and it was shelved, and that happens. But I got that close to fame, and I still got the letter. I have the letter from Universal. I got to know where it is, but I framed it somewhere. But that was exciting. So it was almost, maybe it wasn't for nothing, but I had a dream come true. I got to play my favorite characters.
So for my final question, I'm going to ask you, give me a brief description of your love for the Munsters.
Well, I say this. I mean, this sounds crazy, but Fred Gwynn, what a cool dad to have like that. He was bending steel bars for Eddie, for the kids in the neighborhood. He would help some kid got caught in the fence, and he bends the bars and picks a kid up, and he gets hit by a car and it smashes up. He had this like
he's probably America's most lovable dad.
I mean, his character was so charming and so lovable, and you think, boy, that, you know, the perfect family. To me, the Munsters were the perfect family. I mean, they were. I mean, the opening segment at the beginning when the steps opened up and Lily saw everybody off to school and work, Herman, they were making mockery of. It was Leave It to Beaver or Mother Knows Best. I forget which show. It was one of those shows by Joe Kennelly and Bob Mosher, who also directed a lot of the Munsters episodes. But they were making fun of that American family theme, but only with the Munsters. So it was cool. And the fact is, those cars are really amazing. Now, when I went to...
they don't make them like that anymore.
No, they were cool. And it's funny because years and years later, I guess this has been some years later after I made that film, a lady who's a bigger fan than even me, and I thought that was possible. She has a house in Waxahachie, Texas. She made the Munsters house inside and out, like close to the real show. My friend was invited out, and he said, "Oh, can my friend John come? Because he does the Herman." "Oh, yeah, bring him out." So I came. I did his makeup as a grandfather, and I met Al Lewis, Butch Patrick, Yvonne DiCarlo couldn't make it, and Fred Gwynn don't want to go anywhere near that character because I think he feels it ruined his acting career. And, you know, maybe it did because every time you see him or hear his voice...
It's kind of hard to see him as anything else.
But Herman Munster.
I think of My Cousin Vinny is the only other movie he really stands
right, exactly.
out.
You can remember My Cousin Vinny. Yeah. But Frank Gwynn, he got typecasted, and that hurts a lot of actors because Ted Cassidy, when he played Lurch in the Addams Family, he wanted to be an actor, but he felt it was a curse. He could never really get roles but act monster roles because of his height and his look. And I can understand that, but I think you couldn't find a better actor. And anytime they try to bring that show back in a movie or TV series, they'll
never capture the magic.
They never captured. With Fred and Al Lewis, they were in Car 54 for the Munsters. They just knew each other. They were in Brooklyn for New York, and I know Fred Gwynn lived in Manhattan. He lived downtown. And I actually, on Halloween, I went to New York in the Herman Munster costume as well. And I met Al Lewis in his restaurant. He had a restaurant there. And I sat in his restaurant having a bowl of spaghetti. I was Herman Munster. And when Grandpa came over to me, Al Lewis, he goes, "Wow, where'd you get that suit? It's like so perfectly identical to the original." I said, "Well, will I get a free dinner?" He goes, "No."
That's great.
It was so cool. But white tie and tails, he had a cigar. He was outside the restaurant. He played that part even in front of his restaurant in New York City. But when I went to Texas, I had a lot of fun in that house and had video and still images of me in that house interacting with Butch Patrick. And we're walking through the yard, and he goes, "Hi, Pop." I go, "Hi, Eddie," you know, with Herman's voice. And I do the laugh. I can't do it now. Got a little cough, but...
Well, John, your work is truly mind-blowing. And,
thank you.
You know, I've been seeing it since I was a kid, and I've always said you're like a punk mad scientist / prop master. Thank you so much for being on Hard Delights.
I remember you bought that Legend, that Red Devil outfit. The horns were so heavy.
Indeed.
You were afraid to fall forward.
Way before I was a muscular man, I was a young teenage boy trying to manage several pounds of prosthetics and stilts. It was quite the process.
Yeah, but you pulled it off. That was cool. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'd love to do all that stuff.
Well, again, thanks so much for being on the show, John. And
sure.
Everyone tune in to Horror Punks USA TV next week to Hard Delights to check out the episode.